Hi, welcome to Spotlight On. My name is Angela Lee, and I'm here again with Barbara Larkin from the League of Women Voters. Hi, Barbara. How are you?
Hi, Angela. I'm great. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. So, for those who aren't able to make it to the polls at the moment, what can they do to still be involved?
Um, do you mean in terms of voting?
Yes.
Okay. So if you think that you need to vote by mail, then there are certain requirements to be able to vote by mail. So, for example, if you want to vote by mail in the November election, there's four different requirements to be able to vote by mail. One is you have to be 65 years or older. The second is to have a disability. The third is to think that you will be out of the county during the entire early voting period plus voting day. And then the fourth is if you're confined in jail, but you're actually still eligible to vote. The two that are very concrete is if you're 65 years or older, you know you're eligible to vote by mail. If you're confined in jail, you know you're able to vote by mail. The two that are softer in terms of it's up to you to decide if you are disabled or if you expect you to be out of the county during the voting period. So those are the two areas that are right now, and there's been a lot of discussion, but those are the two things that people are talking about whether they can vote by mail.
So, from my understanding, I know some students register at their residences at school. Let's say if they attend a university, but they're currently going to live back at home with their parents. Do you think they would be a group that would qualify?
Yes, absolutely. That is a group that qualifies. So the important thing to understand about voting by mail is that it's a two-step process. The first part of the process is you have to apply for a vote by mail ballot. And then the second part of the process is that you actually fill out the ballot and send it in. So the first part of the process, you can do it one of two ways. You can either go online and download an application to vote by mail. And then you fill it all out and handwrite it, and you have to then put it in an envelope, your own envelope with a stamp, and mail it in. So the first part of and the most important part is you have to, when you fill out all the form, the vote by mail application, you have to sign it. And your signature actually matters in this case more than really any other signature that you do. This signature matters, and I'll explain that in a minute. So that's one way to apply for a vote by mail ballot. The other way is you can actually go online and ask like the Secretary of State of Texas or your county to mail you a vote by mail, to say I'm applying, and they will mail you this application to vote by mail. It's still just the application part. This is still the first part. And then you fill it out. That one actually is stamped, so you can just stick it in the mailbox. You don't have to come up with the envelope and the stamp. But so the first part of the process is you apply to vote by mail, and the second part of the process is they mail you a ballot and you fill it back out and mail it in.
And is there certain deadlines we need to meet if you are eligible to mail in ballots?
Yes. Yes, you have to have applied for that ballot. That application has to be in 11 days before election day. So in this case, election day, this next coming up, the big one in November, that election day is November 3rd. And so you have to have applied, meaning that the county has to have received your application by October 23rd this year. So there's still plenty of a time to apply for a vote by mail ballot. I want to make sure that I talk about the signature part, because part of the way that the county determines that a vote by mail ballot is authentic and real and came from you is the fact that you mailed in that original application, and then they mailed you back at the same location the application, and you've signed it, and then they mail you the ballot and you sign that and mail it back. So they actually compare the signatures on the application and on the ballot. So to make sure that you are you, and that so they actually, that first signature is important because they're going to compare it with the signature that you actually sign your ballot with.
Oh,
There's actually there's a signature board. A lot of people don't know that. It actually goes, they take a digital picture of your signature on the application and on the ballot, and they compare those two. There's a couple ways they make sure that there is no fraud in the system, and that is one of the ways.
and going along with, with the mail-in ballots that we have, from my understanding, the Supreme Court has gone through Texas's case about having mail-in ballots for everyone due to COVID-19, but that recently got rejected. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, there's actually 3 or 4 different cases that were working their way through the legal system, and the one that was sort of the most determinant was the recent one. And what was being asked was whether just the fact that COVID-19 is out there is causes a person to have a disability. Because the way disability is defined in the election code, I might read it if you don't mind, is a sickness or physical condition that prevents the voter from appearing at the polling place on election day without a likelihood of needing personal assistance or of injuring the voter's health. So there was a lot of discussion around what is entailed if a person thinks that they might injure their health by voting. Is that a disability? Well, so in the end, what the court ruled was just having COVID is not a disability. That's what they ended up ruling. But what they did say is that whether a person feels like they have a disability, because so many disabilities are not easily seen, mental issues and a variety of issues, they're not seen in person, that it really is up to the voter to decide if they have a disability. So if you fill out the application, if you think that you have a reason that causes your health to be injured to vote in person, then that qualifies as a disability. And it's actually completely up to you. And when you check the boxes on the application to vote by mail, you're not supposed to write in other words or anything. You basically, if you think you have a disability, you just check disability. And there's no one who has the authority to ask you what's your disability. That's not the health laws. No one is going to come out and say what's your disability. There's no one that has the authority to ask that. You have to decide if you think you have a disability, then you can vote by mail based on checking that box.
And are there certain disabilities that are covered right now for people who can actually mail in ballots?
Yeah, anybody who thinks they have a disability of any variety can go ahead and apply for a vote by mail ballot and check the disability box. And it is their decision whether they have a disability that would cause their health to be injured by voting.
So it could cover physical, mental, all of that? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, my name is Angela Lee, and this is Spotlight On.
Thank you.